welcome to the show. Today we have a information-packed show, and anything that I say is not meant to diagnose or replace your medical care. Check with your doctor before taking any of the advice that I'm about to give you. A lot of callers, a lot of people on social media. If you want to call in, there should be a number down below. And we have some real interesting questions as well that I think you're going to find fascinating. Let's go right to Sharon from Florida. Sharon, are you there?
I am.
Hi.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
My question is about fasting, lengthy fasting. And a few years ago, many years ago, I went on a 21-day fast, planning to go 40 days. But I kept having issues with vomiting and nausea, and also weakness. I can handle the weakness. I can just lay down if I feel tired, lay down. But the nausea and vomiting.
Yeah.
And what my question is, I want to know if there are any supplements out there that can help me alleviate these problems with the vomiting and nausea that won't take me out of ketosis or, or mess with my fasting.
So a couple things about that. Hopefully you're doing electrolytes with a lot of potassium, magnesium. That usually will help with a lot of maybe dizziness and things like that. Also hope you're doing B vitamins from nutritional yeast, as well as probably trace minerals, because if you're fasting for a long period of time, your zinc only lasts 1 to 2 weeks. So you're going to end up having nutritional deficiencies if you're not taking supplements. Omega-3 fatty acids is another important one. Vitamin D is going to be important. And you may benefit from just straight amino acids, not protein, because that could be another weakness that you might have. There's a really good product I have for that. It's called Keto Aminos. It doesn't have hardly any calories. It just gives you the amino acids. It goes right into the body. 99.9% of it just turns into as a replacement repair tissue. Now let's shift to the other question that you said about nauseousness or vomiting. Sometimes when you do long-term fasting, we do get some bile concentrated sludge going on in the liver. If there's some issues with the liver, or as you're burning fat and you're in a strong ketosis, all that fat has to come through the liver. So if there is a problem with the concentration of cholesterol as it comes through the little ducts between your liver and your gallbladder, and you may have a little backup there. So it can back up into the liver and create you feeling nauseous. And so that could even lead to vomiting. So I think the best thing to do to keep those drain plugs flowing, there's a product out there called, it's a very specific type of bile salt that's good for this situation. It's called TUDCA. I think it's TUDCA. And you would take that empty stomach. I would just take like 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and just that tends to keep the bile flowing through these ducts, so nothing's stuck, and that should reduce your nausea. And if it doesn't, you call me back, okay? All right, thanks for your question. And then we're going to go directly to Mandy. She's in Maryland, right down the street. Hi, hi, Mandy from Maryland. All right, are you there, Mandy?
Hello, Mandy.
Okay, I'll let you try to get Mandy. I'm going to go to Chris from California. Hey, Chris, are you there?
Yeah, well, Doc, why don't we go to our first quiz and we'll iron this out.
Okay, so we'll just kind of, I'll let you reboot, Steve, and we'll go to the first quiz. And the first quiz question is, what herb has the most antioxidants? Okay, what herb has the absolute most antioxidants of all the herbs? You want to know this. You may already know this. So what is your good guess on that? And let me just see if Dana is available. Dana, are you there from Louisiana?
All right, well, I tell you what, while we're getting Dana fixed up and the rest of them, why don't we do a big shout out to all our viewers as we do each week. And of course, they're in France and Spain and Pakistan and Canada, India, United Arab Emirates, Sweden, UK, the Philippines, Good grief, Salvador, I'm not going to even try that one, but welcome wherever you guys are. Australia, Taiwan, Denmark, Germany, Belgium, Trinidad, and all across the United States of America, North and South. So what a terrific group we have.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
And so if you can just go into some dialogue for a minute, Doc, I'm going to fix these phones.
Well, let's just talk about a couple things right now. Let's talk about the immune system. There's a huge focus on, making distance between you and other people. There's a lot of focus on wearing the mask. But what about your immune system, man? What is up with that? I mean, that's probably more important to have a strong immune system than anything else. And so I do have a course, and I will put a link down below. It might not be there now, but I'll put a free course that I'm giving away to everyone so you can strengthen your immune system. But, one of the greatest risk factors, I just released a video actually today on age in relationship to your immune system, COVID, and also severity. And there is no data that just shows the age effect on COVID without having this other variable of other conditions, like other health conditions. So what we know right now is the real problem with COVID is these other health problems that people have. And especially if you're in a nursing home and you have all these other issues. So what is the moral of the story is to strengthen your immune system, get rid of these other issues, especially metabolic syndrome, which is basically boils down to mainly insulin again. So if you're on keto and IF, you're doing the exact right thing you need to do. Let's see if Mandy is on now since we rebooted. Are you there, Mandy? Okay, let's try Chris. Are you there? So,
I tell you what, Doc, I'll get the big doctors on this system and we'll work it out. In the meantime,
let me just take Mandy's call. She actually asked a question, so I'm just going to go through that, and then you can actually ask me some social media questions. So Mandy had a question about, she has PCOS and hair loss. How do I grow it back? So PCOS is a condition where it's called polycystic ovarian syndrome or disorder. And the ovaries have these cysts in them, and what's happening is we're getting a higher level of androgens, which are male hormones. So you have hair loss, and then you have facial hair, deeper voice, the whole thing, which is not good for someone who's female. So what's behind that is high levels of insulin. So I'm hoping you're on hardcore, standard, healthy keto and intermittent fasting, which will bring your insulin down and bring the androgens down. That would be very, very important. Now, when we're talking about androgens, we're talking about different types of testosterone. It's a male hormone. So there's a real powerful type of androgen called DHT, which is produced in excessive amounts, and if you actually have high levels of insulin. So there is something you could do research on to inhibit that conversion. And that would be, it would be like, you can write this down, it's called alpha reductase. I think it's alpha 5 reductase, yeah. And so, inhibitor. And try to find a natural one. And there's several different herbs out there. One would be stinging nettle root. There's several others, and you can get these, and that will help to inhibit the excess amount of testosterone in the body. The other thing you want to look at is the liver, because the liver could be keeping things from getting better as well. But instead of treating these symptoms specifically, I would actually first get in the diet as the most important thing, okay? Because you'd be surprised how many problems go away if you do that. All right, so now,
I tell you what, we've got a team of physicists working on our problem right now. So in the meantime, how about some social media stuff?
Yes, give me a question, Steve.
Very good. Okay, Candy on Facebook, will lemon water break my fast? I think I can almost tell her that, but go ahead.
No, there's hardly any calories in lemon water. There's not a lot of carbs in lemon water. There's a tiny bit, but it's so insignificant. In fact, I recommend lemon water while you're doing fasting because it's loaded with citrates. And citrates will decrease the risk of getting kidney stones, okay, especially the oxalate kidney stones. So that's one benefit. Also, if you're doing fresh lemons, you're going to have vitamin C. If you're doing lemon juice from a bottle, it's still good, but you're not going to get a lot of vitamin C because they pasteurize it, they cook it. Steve, do you have the answers for my first question? What herb produces the most antioxidants?
Not yet, but we do have a question from one of our Arab friends. I can see it's written in Arabic, at least his name. And he wants to know, does vitamin D drop as a result of coronavirus? So we know we need it to help prevent it, but does it drop?
Yes, yes. When you have an infection, the demand for vitamin D goes way up. So your body's using all this vitamin D. In fact, even part of your white blood cells actually have receptors for vitamin D. So you use a lot of it. So when you're during an infection, if you're actually in an infection, if you eat a lot of carbs, if you have a lot of stress, the need for vitamin D goes way up. So yes, absolutely, very, very important to take vitamin D. Vitamin D is what's called an immune modulator. What does all the damage from an infection is not really the virus, it's your own immune system. It's part of the attack to this virus. So the way we attack it is through inflammation. And so inflammation is really behind all these symptoms that people have. So if you were just to minimize the inflammation, you would minimize the symptoms, and you would decrease the duration of infection, and you would decrease the severity of that infection. And vitamin D is one of the best immune modulators to kind of curb that issue. There's a lot of other things like zinc and vitamin C, but definitely vitamin D.
All right, well, we got some exciting feedback on this. Which herb has the most antioxidants? And the surveyed say that 80% oregano, 10% rosemary, and 10% of basil or basil, however you like to say that.
You guys are smart, man. You guys are smart. It is oregano. Oregano has the most antioxidants. And what's interesting about oregano, it's one of the best, especially if you're doing the oil of oregano, it's one of the best antimicrobials you can do to actually, just get rid of like hidden infections, people that have viral stuff, bacteria, fungus. It just kills everything, but it's selective. It doesn't kill our own cells. So I like oregano on pizza. I'm just kidding. But oregano is really good for you. However, there is some other data about if you actually are talking about a dry herb. It's a little conflicting, but clove as a dried herb has a great amount of antioxidants as well. And clove is really good for a tooth pain, or it's like a numbing agent. It's good as an antimicrobial. It's good as an anti-parasite type remedy. So clove can be used for, these parasites are really weird because they take from your body, but they don't give anything in return. They're not exchanging with you. So they'll take over your body, live in the house, yet they rob your food, and then they leave you high and dry. So, I think even certain personalities or certain people are parasites. So they take, but they don't give back. So really it's important an exchange. And like a friendly bacteria, those guys are real nice because they basically will eat what we don't eat, fiber. They'll turn it into some good things, which help our blood sugars. And then they make us vitamins, and they help our immune system. So that's really cool. So it's all about that exchange, I'm okay with a microbe living inside my body as long as they give me something in return. All right.
All right, why don't we try a call, but we're still working on it. See if you can reach poor...
Let's go with Nancy. Let's see. Nancy.
Yes.
You're back.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I am allergic to coconut oil.
Okay.
And most MCT is made with coconut.
Right. That's right. So, here's another thing. The cool thing about MCT oil is you can get it from other sources, and it's like you can get it from, and I know some people might not like this answer, but palm oil, if it's from a very eco-friendly place, palm oil, you can get MCT fats from that. The other thing too is you can get these ketones from exogenous ketones as a supplement, or just do fast and low carb diet. You're going to get ketones. So there's some MCTs in butter as well, but I do understand it's a situation. Also, you may want to just try out MCT oil if you haven't, because you may be okay with the MCT oil even though it's from coconuts. Give it a shot. But thanks for your question, Nancy. And let's go right to Chris from Los Angeles. Are you there, Chris? Chris, we'll get back to you in a second. Let's see if I can get hold of Tom. Now it's interesting because I usually, when I click on this button, I hear something. I don't hear that with Tom. Let's see, what about Dana? I think Dana's on. I think I hear something with Dana. I am wrong.
Wow, isn't that something? Well, we're so sorry, callers, but we'll sort it out. Why don't we go ahead and read their question, Doc, and see if we can help them in that regard.
Well, Chris had a question from Los Angeles about the thymus gland. I'm not sure what question, but let's just talk about the thymus gland. What is it? It's a little gland on top of the heart, and when you're born, it's like huge. And as you get older, it shrinks down to like nothing. It atrophies. The thymus gland is the training camp for your immune cells. So it helps train. And so you're born with an immune system already your mother gave you. Okay, so you have this immune system, and it's there, but there's another part of the immune system that you have to develop and acquire over time. And that is dependent on the thymus gland. And it's also dependent on getting in infections. If you never were exposed to a microbe or a bug or a germ, you cannot develop the immune system. So these kids that are grown in hyper clean, sterilized environments, they have weak immune systems later in life. So it's very important to allow your child to be on the floor, to be in a germ environment, and it's okay to be sick here and there because you want to start developing, and that's how you develop the antibodies. So naturally, it's okay for a child to get sick, and even if it's, frequent, as long as they can recover from it, don't try to suppress that symptom. If they have a fever right away, just let them go through the cycle, but of course make sure the diet is good. But if someone is zinc deficient, the thymus gland will shrink. So you also want to make sure the child and adults have a lot of zinc. The other thing that will shrink the thymus gland is stress. High levels of cortisol will shrink the immune system. In fact, I would tell you that stress is probably the most important influence over your immune system. And the reason is because I'm telling you, in practice, see, if you were not in practice, if someone like a researcher is never in practice, they would never discover this. But you have all these people to test things out on and see if what works, what doesn't work. That's invaluable. And I would venture to say 100% of patients who came in with infection had a trigger to that infection, some stress event. So the next time you get sick, reflect back, okay, what stressed me out? What was it? Was it this or was it that? And see if you can actually minimize that and see if it doesn't like speed up the process. But there's always like a stress that drops the resistance, increases your susceptibility to get this microbe. And so I've just noticed that, I've observed that. It's true for me, but go ahead and see if it's true for you.
Why don't we try Tom? Why don't you go to Tom, see if we can hear him.
Hey, Tom, are you there?
Hi, Dr. Berg, yes.
Hey, hi, Tom. You're from Michigan. Go ahead.
How are you?
Question? Great, thanks.
Well, my question is about supplements like tryptophan and GABA. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah. Tryptophan is a very large amino acid. It's really good for sleep. It turns into serotonin. It also can help with cravings. But you have to have it on an empty stomach because if there's any protein in your diet, that amino acid, which is quite big, will be it won't go into the receptors that well. So other proteins will compete with it. So it's like you won't even see any results. So tryptophan is in my sleep aid, but it used to be a $1 billion business right before they came out with Prozac. But it's a good antidepressant remedy as well. And GABA is also good too for calmness, relaxation, sleep, countering stress. Both of those are really good remedies for sleep and depression and stress.
All right, well, Doc, guess what? This is bonus week. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize you were still on the phone. Please go on.
I just cut him off accidentally, sorry.
Oops, sorry. Anyway, Tom, I hope he helped you. And we've got a bonus week with an extra question. So let's hit it with the next one, which is...
Okay, so...
Go ahead.
All right, so the question is this. Why do carbohydrates cause you to be hungry? Okay? Chew on that, guys. And chew on that carbohydrate question. And I'm going to go to Veronica from California.
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It works.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so I have two questions. My first one is, when you are fasting and you need to take fat-soluble vitamins, what is that person going to do?
Right. Like, how can you help them get absorbed?
Yes, it says take it with food.
Well, no. I really, first of all, if you're taking fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, or K, K1, K2, realize even if it's without food, you will absorb a good amount of it. If you wanted to absorb a little bit more, just have a little bit of MCT oil. Just a little bit of MCT oil. And that way, you're good. It's like you're going to actually give you more ketones, and it'll absorb a little bit better. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, great. My next question is, every morning, no matter what, no matter how long I've been fasting or what I ate that day, I wake up with a lot of gas pain in my stomach. And when I have tried your abdominal presses on the stomach, your acupressure, the left side is always hard.
Okay. I think you probably have some sludge going through your bile ducts, and I would get some the gallbladder formula will work, or you could actually do purified bile salts, and you take that on an empty stomach. It just keeps the flow going through these ducts. You have a duct that comes from your liver, and there's bile flowing, and it kind of goes through, gets stored in the gallbladder, but it can also get stuck on the other side by the pancreas. And so, in fact, pancreatitis is a symptom of too much sludge in your bile ducts. So that can actually back up on that side, because they both kind of drain and end up in the same little hole that goes into the small intestine. So you could actually create a problem with both sides, and that's probably why it's like sore and things like that. But if you took the purified bile salts, empty stomach, it'll actually flow through the system a lot better, and you will feel less congestion. I think this is a temporary thing. I think over time it will get better. Thanks, Veronica. All right, so then we want to go to Dana from Louisiana. Had a question. Been waiting patiently. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Dr. Berg.
Yes, great.
Hi, Dr. Berg. I'm
Hi.
your biggest fan. I've been watching you since 2015, I believe.
Wow.
I did your keto course. I thank you so much for all you did. You literally saved my life. I've been doing intermittent fasting and keto for coming up on 2 years now. I fast 3 days a week the first 3 weeks of the month. And I have a question about sickle cell for a friend, and what kind of supplements could they add if they are doing keto, and how would that help? But I also have a question for myself about bloating. I have bloating that will not go away. I've watched thousands of your videos. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. I've watched so many of your videos. I do gallbladder formula, acidifiers, systemic enzymes, food enzymes. I've done a SIBO protocol. I have done so many things, and I cannot figure out what is going on. Please, can you help me?
Okay, so question I wanted you to describe this bloating. So is it right after you eat, you just feel stuffed?
No, sir. It does not. The only thing that helps it is fasting and sleeping, but it never completely goes away. It gets worse throughout the day, and food makes it worse as well, but not as bad as it used to. Like, I went out vegetables for a couple of months trying to see if there was SIBO, taking oregano and all that, and it did not work. I thought it was leaky gut. I've taken things for leaky gut, like glutamine. I mean, I've done so many things, and I don't know.
Okay. So is it, do you feel pain or do you feel just distended? Is there any constipation?
I do have constipation, and I thought that was the reason why, but I've been taking systemic enzymes for about a month now consistently, and it helped a lot, but like it's helped me go to the bathroom more, but it's still not going away. I almost look pregnant. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm only 125 pounds, about 5'1", so I'm not sure. Like, I have more of a lean physique, but I have a stomach on me.
Okay, so this is what I would do. When you run a situation where you're doing everything and it's not working, we just need more information, which means we have to do some tests to find out what's going on inside there. I think a really good test would be to check your intestinal permeability. There's a really awesome test that you can get, and the data on this is from a doctor I just interviewed, Dr. Clemens. She's from Hungary, and go watch that video. It's an interview that I did probably in the last 2 weeks with Dr. Clemens on intestinal permeability. And I'll later on today, I'll try to find, you can either go to her office and contact and see where you can get this test, but she can ship it to you, home test. You take something orally, you drink something, and then you actually collect your urine and you send it to her. And what happens is it measures what's going on in the gut that could be causing this. So that would be really, really cool. So, I mean, you can also, before you get into like a functional bile test, which is important, or even I'd love to know what your pH is in your stomach. It's kind of like that's what I would do. Like, and then I would take one organ at a time, like the stomach acid, and I would take a lot of betaine hydrochloride at one time. Like, I would take like probably 10 of those in one time and just see if that doesn't handle it. And then the next couple days I might try taking more bile salts to see if that doesn't handle it. Maybe take more enzymes, because there could be some type of dysfunctional piece of the puzzle that we need to isolate. But it's difficult because there's so many factors involved. So do that. Now, as far as sickle cell anemia, that's one thing that is these red blood cells are shaped in they're malformed, and so they don't carry oxygen, so the person is very, very tired. I think my suggestion is zinc is probably the best thing to do, and unfortunately, the best time to get zinc is like when you're growing in your mother's abdomen. So you basically, if the child has enough zinc, that can actually decrease the risk of that condition. But I would just do your standard, very strict keto and IF and see if it doesn't handle or help you with the symptoms. But it is a situation. I don't have the ultimate cure for that, but I definitely would do IF and keto. And Dana, I just want to say one last thing. Stay tuned, because I'm developing a whole protocol with a PowerPoint for those of you that are into keto and IF and you like helping others and you want to teach others. I'm creating a little class to teach people how to teach people. So if you're interested, stay tuned. It'll be a free class, but I want to get more people spreading the word with keto and give you the PowerPoint that will do it and walk you through this is what they need to know.
Boy, what an inspiring story from Dana. I've got a plan. How about we answer the question?
Yes.
First of all, let's bring it up.
Okay, so the question was, why do carbs make you hungry, Steve?
Okay, so 95% say that the insulin spikes and blood sugar drops. Maybe that's true, and then 5% say low fiber.
Okay, so you guys are so smart. You're absolutely right. It's what happens when you eat carbs, stimulate, it actually raises the glucose in your blood. Insulin comes in, lowers your glucose. If you're eating something very, very high on the glycemic index, it will do it fast, and it drops it fast. and all of a sudden you end up craving something. So let's say, for example, Steve, not that this would ever happen in real life to you, but let's say you went to a Chinese restaurant, okay, and and you have the
Guilty.
and you have this this meat that is it's really spicy. It's delicious. They put all the sugar in it, MSG. You're like, oh man, I love this. This is great. You're feeling good, and of course, I know this might be shocking. They actually bring you rice, which is a carbohydrate. Bring the rice, and you take this rice, Steve. It's white rice, and you mix it with this thing. So now we combine carbohydrate with the sugar, with the protein, and the oil, which is probably going to be soy oil or something like that. And your blood sugars, man, are going to be going up, up, up. But at first, you're feeling great because it tastes so good, and you got all these chemical things happening, and you're like enjoying it, all the spices. But what's happening as soon as you leave that restaurant, I would say within about a half hour, maybe an hour, you're looking around, man, why am I so hungry? I just ate this huge meal. It's because your blood sugars just dropped. And you might find something in your house, something sweet, and start eating that. You might start eating, and all of a sudden now you're on the blood sugar thing. Not that would ever happen to you, Steve.
Well, my mouth's watering. What's that a sign
Oh my
of?
goodness, I'm sorry. I know where you're going after this. I shouldn't have talked about that rice. But the other thing is that insulin directly increases hunger. So you got two effects there, low blood sugar and insulin. So one way to get rid of hunger is to fast longer, consume more fat, have more nutrient-dense foods, have more fiber in the food from vegetables, not the fruit. It's a myth that fruit will help satisfy you. I mean, out of all the things that I cut out that helped me go from 211 pounds of pure muscle, I'm just kidding, down to 180, was that apple. I cut out these apples. I used to have these Honeycrisp apples, which were huge. I would have one mid-morning with peanut butter, mid-afternoon as a snack, thinking that I was like doing some good stuff.
Apple a day.
Keeps the doctor away if you shoot it hard enough at them and aim it at them, at these patients, but at the doctor too. So anyway, let's go to Michelle from Albany, New York.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Doc.
Sure.
How are you?
Great.
Yeah, so my husband and I have been doing keto and intermittent fasting since the end of August, and we've both lost a lot of weight. My husband has a lot of weight to lose. He did a lot of unhealthy eating for many years, and we were doing great. And then I think we overdid the cauliflower a few months ago, and since then he's had a lot of belching, biliousness, to the point where it's really distressing for him. And we have him on the advanced digest aid, and he also does apple cider vinegar with lemon juice and the stevia in the liquid form. And we're just wondering how we should proceed.
Well, the burping is definitely gallbladder. Did he do any gallbladder formula?
I just ordered that from you. So no, we haven't. As soon as it arrives, we'll start it.
That'll handle it A to B. So I'll give you an example. Burping is belching is classic gallbladder. So somehow kind of maybe might have lost his bile, because here's the thing, when you do a lot of fiber, believe it or not, too much, it can actually bind to bile and take it out of the body. So that could be one reason why his bile is not there. There's a lot of interesting chemicals, phytonutrients in vegetables that are fat-soluble that need bile too. So that could be another reason why he's a little bit deficient. But the gallbladder formula has the purified bile salts, other things, and that should handle it. Have him take a couple after a meal, and then I think you'll feel good. Maybe even one on an empty stomach here and there. But that will handle it. It's classic gallbladder. Thanks, Michelle.
Wonderful. How about we throw out the next question, Doc?
Okay, the next question is, what food on planet Earth has by far the most zinc?
And we need zinc these days.
Yeah, you do. All right, while you're chewing on that question, let's go to Mohammed from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Yeah, just a couple of, I have just two small questions. One question is basically, I was listening to your program that the best sugar test is after 2 hours taking the food. And when I do that one, is perfectly right, 99, between 99 and 100 after 2 hours. But after 14-hour fasting test is same too. 99 to 105 stay same, you know. What's the issue with that thing?
Well,
that should be. The second question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You have
Second question is basically, if you just talking about if you have hair loss on the top, you know, of the head, you know, if something is issue is deficiency, why is not happening to the other part of the body, like the mustache, your chest hairs? They are all over there. Everything is normal. Why we lose only top of the head, not of the side of the head and all the other body? That's
just to confuse you. Now, what happens is on the top of the head, it has to do with receptors for something called DHT, which is a very strong testosterone. And it's one of those mysteries that they don't know exactly, but there's different types of receptors for different androgens throughout the body, like the facial hair, and versus the top of the head. Apparently, you have more on the top of the head. That's where people tend to lose it. One thing to do would be to take something that's a DHT, which is that powerful estrogen inhibitor, and it's called I think it's alpha-5 or 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, and find a natural herbal remedy for that, and that will help you. Also, rosemary oil topically on the head into the skin each day will be very beneficial too. Maybe maybe rub it into your skin a little bit, wait about an hour, then take a shower. But yeah, that would be something that I would recommend too. Now, for the first question is, here you are, you eat and your blood sugars go up, and then you fast and your blood sugars go up. Now, how the heck, Steve, could someone's blood sugars go up if they didn't eat any sugar? It doesn't even make sense.
Insulin resistance,
Yeah, they have bad insulin resistance, and so their body is making sugar out of protein, ketones, fat. It's making the sugar. It's a different source. It's called endogenous. And so what you want to do is maybe do a little exercise to burn it off. It's a transition thing. It will eventually be handled the longer you do this. It just tells us that your body has insulin resistance and the feedback mechanism is still broken a little bit. So I would watch my videos on insulin resistance and continue to do that. And out of all of the herbs that are good for insulin resistance, one of the ones that works really well is cinnamon. Put a little cinnamon on your toast with a little sugar and you're good to go. Hope people know that I have a dry sense of humor.
Absolutely, and you also have some answers to which food is the highest in zinc.
What do we got?
Well, you know, the fun thing here is it's not like there's one part of the world that's dumb and one part that's smart. They're all smart because this comes from all over the globe. And the globe says 60% oysters, overwhelming, 20% fish, 10% nuts, 5% cow liver, and finally seaweed comes in at 5%.
Okay. It's oysters, hands down, by far. Oysters have the most zinc, and it's also bioavailable. And zinc is good for reproduction, skin, testosterone improvement, immune system, for sure, and a lot of other systems. In fact, it's a multi-organ nutrient, and that's why it's so important. The problem is we don't store it very long, so any excess we don't store, so it might last 1 to 2 weeks. So if you're not consuming oysters on a regular basis, I'm just kidding. You could get it from other things too, like beef, organ meats. Now, if you say, well, I'm doing my grains and legumes, aren't I getting enough zinc? Those have phytic acid in it, or phytate, which will block your zinc. So no, that's not going to be a good source. It'll also block your magnesium and your calcium.
Sounds great. How about we take care of some social media, Doc?
Yep.
Okay,
go ahead.
So on YouTube, Paula wants to know, do ketones feed candida?
No, they're not going to feed your candida. In fact, it's anti-candida. And even MCT oil is, coconut oil has lauric acid, not MCT oil, but coconut oil has lauric acid. It's good for fungus. No, it's not. What will feed the candida is sugar and definitely, milk byproducts as well. Absolutely.
That's relieving. And then over to Facebook, Colleen wants to know, can I take your cod liver oil without food? Yuck.
Yes, you can take it without food because it's like a food. It's like a complete package of oil. So the oil that you're taking will enhance the nutrients in there, like vitamin A, vitamin D, omega-3, which you have DHA and EPA. So yes, you can take that on an empty stomach. Not a problem. Let's go to John. You're from Sherman, Texas. John, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
So I've been doing pretty consistently 1 to 2 meal a day intermittent fasting for the past 2 to 3 months, and I've tried to attempt a 3-day fast on 2 different times. But when I get to the 65 hour mark, I get very faint and lightheaded. So I'll eat a salad, lie down, and I'll feel better in about an hour. And I've also been drinking the electrolyte powder, from you, as well during the fast.
Yes, good. So a couple things that I would add to that, John, is sea salt. Sea salt. That's very, very important because you may feel kind of like you won't feel better until you have enough sea salt. So, because my electrolyte powder has everything, but unless you do the sport electrolyte powder, I don't have a lot of sodium in there. So that's probably what you're missing. The other thing that you want to add is the B vitamins from nutritional yeast and the trace minerals. I think that would be the icing on the cake. All right, so Steve, we're going to give people another question here, okay?
Good, terrific, and I'll put it up for you.
What is the best benefit of walking backwards as an exercise? Now, I just did a video on this, and it's quite fascinating. There's some real interesting benefits on walking backwards. Now, I know what some of you are saying. Have you lost it? No, actually, it's quite interesting because it reverses the flow. You want to do it very safely on a flat surface, and you don't want to jog right away. And check with your doctor before doing this, because I don't want you to fall and blame me and say, "Oh yeah, Dr. Berg," well, just go slow.
I was hoping we'd explore the benefits of lying down, but maybe that's another question.
That's another question, but this backward walking thing is very interesting. Just if you do it in public, just don't mention my name. All right. Let's go right to Mo from California. Are you there, Mo?
Good morning, Doctor. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
Actually, I make it short. I have nasal congestion for almost 20 years or more. I'm 56, and I can't sleep. If I'm lucky, I sleep 4 hours a day, and I don't get enough sleep and deep sleep, so I get tired. I have no medical issues other than that, and I saw many doctors, and they say maybe there's an allergy, whatever, something like that. But lately, a few months ago, or weeks ago, a friend of mine, he recommended that maybe it's your diet, and he recommended you, doctor, and follow your programs. So just I tried everything, but I don't know what can I do. Is it for my diet, my lifestyle, and I need help.
So Mo, I have a question for you. Are you doing my eating plan yet?
I eat twice a day, but sometimes and I have I'm eating regularly, but somebody is going to stay away from the dairy products like milk, whatever, cheese, and sugar. I started to cut the sugar. It helped me that I used to have pain in my joint. So, but now it's better, but still the nasal congestion is really frustrating. I mean, it's really...
So, Mo, this is what I would do, Mo. I would definitely, first of all, get on my plan exactly like I teach it out of my book. That's one thing. Number two, it could be some fungus growing in the sinuses. So what you're going to do is you're going to take oregano, that's going to be really important, zinc, and higher amounts of vitamin D, like probably 30,000 IUs. I would get one of those little neti pots. I would put some, and I did a video on this. You can put a little bit of garlic in there, garlic oil, and let the and a couple drops of colloidal silver, and all that steam. Let that steam go up into your sinuses, and kill whatever's in there. The most common thing that's in there could be either a fungus or a rhinovirus, or even a coronavirus. So that's what I would do if I were you, and that's going to help your sleeping because you're going to breathe, but you need to get on the diet as well. All right, so what do we have as an answer to the question, what's the best benefit of walking backwards as an exercise? I can't hear you, Steve.
I'm sorry, sir. 80%, what does that, Terry, works? I don't get it. 80%?
Ignore or new muscles.
Oh, it works, ignore new muscles, I see. 10% benefits balance functions, that's good. And 10%, well, strengthens back muscles, which makes sense.
Okay, good. The number one answer is gets rid of knee pain, especially if it's on the top of your knee. But number two is your back pain. You will be shocked. If you have back pain, you do this and your back pain is going to go bye-bye, because what happens is you're strengthening the opposing muscles. When you walk forward, you're strengthening your psoas and sometimes your certain parts of the quadricep. But when you go backwards, you get the hamstrings, and which immediately take the pressure off the knees, and also the glutes and the front part of your lower shin. And also you get the quads too, but you're going to find your back just starts feeling a lot better. And so you might want to just try it. Just do it a little bit outside, or you can do it inside, in a very small space around a circle. But the point is that you'll, it's a real interesting thing. It looks funny, but it seems to work if you have back pain or knee pain.
Interesting. Why don't we toss out the next question, sir?
Yeah. All right, so let's go to Chris from Los Angeles, California. Are you there, Chris?
Yes, I am.
Hi.
My question is about thymus and aging. And after watching your video, it really scared me. I'm 73 years old, and I started reading about this. And they call it the thymus abyss, because apparently, like what you said, at a certain age, you don't have a thymus anymore. So here's my question. I started researching of what they're doing, like can you regenerate a thymus? So this is what I found out, and I wanted a confirmation from you. So they did some research. I mean, in Europe, this is a real thing that they treat, and they treat it with shots of thymus glands. They use Australia's root. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Then in San Diego at Scripps, they did a study on people who were 65 years old, and they're treating it with DHEA, metformin, and something else, human growth hormone, which who would want to have that going on all the time? What can you do? What can you do to regenerate?
Well, I think there's some really good supplements out that you can find that you can take orally as a thymus extract. Take small amounts. You'd be surprised how that can help you. Realize too that your thymus is one training camp. You also have the bone marrow that's helping. You have the spleen. You have your lymph nodes. So it's not all bad. But the other thing you can do to strengthen your immune system and to help the thymus that you have left is to do fasting and keep your carbs low. Because here's the thing. One of the biggest complications from a weak immune system is metabolic syndrome. And this is why they recommend the metformin, which I'm like, well, wait a second, why can't we just get the person to do healthy keto, intermittent fasting? Not only are you going to decrease all these other issues and strengthen your immune system, but if you do fasting, you can actually increase stem cells, which then can actually help you greatly. Now, at your age, you have experienced a lot of exposure to microbes. And so you still have a lot of different antibodies that are sitting there waiting to defend things. So don't feel like you don't have antibodies to defend you and protect you against pathogens. Astragalus is a really good remedy too for a lot of things, for the immune system as well. So that's not a bad idea. There's other natural things that you can take like zinc and vitamin D. But I think that's what I would focus on right now. And let us know how it can help you. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Doc, I was going to have us toss up the next question. So
Yeah.
would you read that for our audience, please?
Yes. What cruciferous vegetable has the most protein? Okay. All right. So let's go to, I think it's Calvin from Virginia, Fairfax, right down the street. Are you there, Calvin?
Yes, I am. Hello, Dr. Berg. Hello, hello,
Hi.
hello. Yeah, hello. Yes, I'm actually just down the road from where I used to have a practice. So I don't mean to hold you for very long. I watched a lot of your videos. I've consumed and taken a lot of your products. Thank you very much for taking this call. You made a video in 2011, posted 27th of November, and it's this poor kid that has these symptoms, and it's called using acupuncture to cure headaches. Basically, me and this child have the exact same thing: the extreme migraines, the vomiting, the diarrhea, the right side numbness. I've been to multiple doctors. They've told me maybe it's a mental health condition. They put me on a lot of medications. GI was meant to be looking at my GI tract, but with this COVID, they've restricted certain tests and so forth. So basically, in that video, I never found the conclusion of what you told this boy to do to help his situation, because basically, anything I consume, anything I eat, just triggers an extremely negative reaction. Other than fruits, I can eat fruits just fine. I can get away with vegetables for a small amount of time, but anything more than that, I'm going to have a really, really explosive reaction with the migraines, the explosive vomiting, the number 2 diarrhea, and right side sort of like almost paralyzed on the right side, and if there's any... So
you said right side.
Really have a feeling, yeah.
Tell me about your right side.
Yes,
you said,
because
what's going on with the right side?
Basically, they found it becomes pretty numb. It becomes like almost paralyzed. Basically, they found a tumor in my brain in 2013. It's benign. They said it may have been there. It's on my left side of the brain. So they basically wanted to do surgery. They then changed their mind. They said it would be too dangerous, and they don't feel that there's enough that tells them that it's the tumor that's causing this problem. So basically, through months and months of research into your videos, I came across this video, and it was just like a light bulb moment, and I felt like a surgery wouldn't be the right thing. But once I found that video, I said, I think Dr. Berg understands. But when I checked for your surgery was obviously no longer an operation by this point. So basically, the right side becomes sort of paralyzed. It stops almost working. I become, it happens for days on end. I go unconscious. I fall on the floor. I become unconscious. Projectile vomiting and projectile number 2. It's a terrible situation. My eyes have like extreme pain. They've given me tramadol, and there's all these other medications for pain and so forth, and blockers and so forth. Basically, anything I eat, it's almost like I'm being poisoned. That's the best way I can explain it. It's literally the best way. I've tested for gas leaks and so forth in the property, which is not the case. I've been dealing with this for now. It's progressively got worse over the last 2 years. I used to have one episode every 8 months. Now it's one every week, once every 2 weeks, and it lasts for 3 to 4 days. As long as I eat something, it will trigger it. So I can get away with eating plenty of fruits, water is fine. I use a distiller. I take a lot of your products just for nutrients and so forth, factors. And they're brilliant, they're absolutely brilliant. But I just haven't found basically the answer.
Let me give you one tip.
Situation.
Let me give you one tip that I'm going to give you, and see if this doesn't help you, and you can maybe call us next week. Order a product called TUDCA, TUDCA, and what that does is it greatly facilitates a flow of bile that's through the liver into the small intestines, because on that video that you watched and other ones, I always talk about the gallbladder triggering headaches. But when you actually eat something that's constantly being triggered, you have the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve that goes right up to your brain, and so your gut can influence your head big time. I think the first thing I would do TUDCA, TUDCA, TUDCA. Probably take 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and just see if your headaches diminish. Then that will tell us the problem is in the liver and gallbladder area. And then call me next week because there's other things you can do. But that's what I would do, Kevin. Thank you.
All right. Well, we got some answers, and we certainly do wish Kelvin the best. That sounds absolutely awful. And the question is, which cruciferous food contains the most protein? And the world says mostly cabbage, 40% cabbage, 30% broccoli, 10% Brussels sprouts, 10% kale, 10% cauliflower, and that's it.
Okay, the answer is kale. Kale is the most protein.
Well, you know, I saw people put an exclamation mark after kale, so I think those people really knew they were onto something. Only one with an exclamation mark.
All right, so the kale, and then what nutrient deficiency could potentially cause a tic? I'm talking not like a tic from Lyme. I'm talking about like this twitch, this abnormal body movement that someone could experience. What nutrient deficiency could be there if you have that? Okay, and then let's go to Christian from California. Are you there, Christian?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
So I just started CPAP, and it's a lot of cleaning, as you may have heard. And I was looking for something that's going to be mild and not toxic. So I found that hydrochloric acid solution could be the best product for what I need to clean the tubes and the mask. I was wondering, do you agree with that at all, that it is safe to use on the mask? And also just spray it around, because I heard it could even kill the coronavirus if it's strong enough parts per million.
Yeah, I think hydrochloric acid would definitely be good. Of course, you want to dilute it, but yeah,
it's diluted.
That's why we have it in our stomach, to kill off all sorts of microbes. And I mean, alcohol, believe it or not, ethanol, like as close to pure as you can get it, will kill off the coronavirus. But I think it's Dicon 7. There's a lot of things out there. Hydrogen peroxide, vinegar can help, but hydrochloric acid would definitely be diluted. Would be a no-brainer. That would definitely take care of it. So why don't you use that? That would work out good. All right, thanks for your question. All right, Steve, in social media, I guess you have some questions for me. Let's see what we got.
Absolutely. Okay, so Miguel, Miguel is commenting from Facebook. My wife has SIBO. What can she do to regain her muscle tissue?
Well, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. This is a situation where you have the friendly bacteria and other microbes in the wrong place. It's in the small intestine. It should be in the large intestine. And so as soon as you eat food, especially fiber, it's going to go in there and it's going to start to ferment in the wrong place. And you're going to get gas, and these microbes are going to eat your nutrients. So you're going to have all sorts of issues. So the best thing to do is to really cut out vegetables, fruits. Of course, you're not doing fruits. Cut out berries. Don't have any of that. I would cut out also almonds and nuts and things like that, and probably do more meats and organ meats, maybe fish, eggs right now for a while, and then take oregano oil, garlic, and some apple cider vinegar and betaine hydrochloride to help acidify your stomach. I did a whole protocol on this, and you can watch that on one of my videos.
Okay, then from YouTube, Elizabeth wants to know the best substitute for K2.
Well, you can do natto. It's a fermented soybean. You can also do any like pate or goose liver. Any of the liver, beef liver, lamb liver, chicken liver will have it. Soft and hard cheeses will have it. Sauerkraut has some of it. Grass-fed beef has it. Grass-fed butter has it. That's how you'd get K2.
All right, that's wonderful. Why don't we jump back to our question now? And by the way, thanks to the world for answering so succinctly, because we were able to get the bonus question, the sixth question in. And Dr. Berg, that question, of course, was which nutritional deficiency causes ticks, and not like spotted ticks, but twitchy people? And 40% say it's calcium, 40% magnesium, 10% vitamin A, 5 potassium, and 5 vitamin D. Who's right?
It's manganese, not magnesium, manganese. It's a trace mineral.
Oh dear.
Okay? So check that out, guys.
Yeah. Well,
and
magnesium, I'm going to give it to them just because it kind of sounds like it, but they're wrong too.
It's similar, but it's completely different. Similar is not the same.
All right. Well, we still love them all.
Yes. Listen, thank you so much for your attention today, guys. I appreciate it. Have some real interesting videos that we're going to be releasing this next week. Stay tuned. I'll see you next week.